Good morning and welcome. It is Wednesday, just before noon, in this 7th episode of season 11 here at OG Foundation, and building this year castle wall on the west side, which is publicly facing to the public road down there, the highway. So you can see sort of the crenellation pattern that is being set by that crenellation that's being held by those two 2x4s. I know it looks slanted, but everything's relative. And so it's going to be those 4-foot wide merlons, which are the things that stick up. And then you can see the crenelle there, but it's probably going to be, I'm going to raise the bottom of the crenelle a couple inches before it was all said and done. So I've done a couple of things. I try to get a video of her before and after for the week. But I actually did this whole piece of plywood this morning, so I was doing prep all morning. Got an early start. I took off this form I had there, kind of messed with that. I was messing with this end wall was sticking out too far, so I had to undo a number of things, and then I added too much mortar on. But anyways, I got that form on, and I did this whole piece of plywood. I put that up there, and then have prepped it all the way up with lath. So I should be able to get really good coverage on that with just one batch. And then probably, if not by the end of today, tomorrow, a second batch will get coverage on most of this kind of corner here. So I'm trying to finish up this wall section up to this corner. That's kind of my first objective of the week. And so there's not that much coverage on either of those two merlons that are up. So I'll get more coverage on those two, and then more coverage on this, and then might be able to work with this a little bit and kind of straighten it out a little bit with the rest, as well as packing out these, the chickens are making a fuss right now, as well as packing out these tires down here, which I got to start on last week. They'll just need a good bit more mortar in there, as well as mortaring these pieces of rebar that I decided to anchor in last week, figuring out how to get them all mortared in properly. So this is how it's all looking from this side. You can get a good kind of, well, sort of a good feel for it, but certainly by the end of this week, hopefully we'll be done to that corner, and then I'll be working my way that way. I'm gonna make some mortar. It's Thursday morning, 6:06 in the midnight hours of this morning. I responded to 2 chickie in distress calls where the chickies are making noises like they're getting attacked, which means that I, sleeping in bed there, dive out the window in the night and try to figure out what's going on. And I couldn't figure out what they were making noise about. So after the first time I went to sleep, and then after the second time I got up more and got light over here and did more investigating and everything, and it turns out that there's a hole right here which has chicken wire in it, but some critter, almost certainly a raccoon, got up there and pulled the chicken wire up from the staples in the tires and got in there, and then it got one of the chickies. It got Haley. So there's Cass and Haley, the 2 black chicks, Verona's descendants, and one of them has brown around her face, like nightshade there, and that's Cass. And then the other one didn't have any brown and was all black, and that was Haley. And Haley, see, that's Cass, along with the other chickies. So Haley got taken away by the raccoon. So down to 9 chickies of my incubated generation. But I don't know if I already mentioned it, but Wisdom is sitting on some eggs in there, and she's been sitting on the eggs for about a week now. There's Apollo. Me and Apollo are super close now. We're the only 2 inside creatures. And also I realized last night in my searching that there's a second chicken, Intrepid, sitting on eggs further back in the coop, further back than Wisdom. So there could be more chicks in 2 to 3 weeks. We'll see. But right now there's one less chickie. I failed to protect Haley. Hopefully I won't let it happen again. I'm planning on mortaring up that hole there with those rocks so that it can't get clawed open again today. raccoon's not getting through there again. I just feel bad that the cost of that lesson was the life of one of my chickies. It's Thursday morning. So yesterday, just 2 batches, but that was enough to get 2 coats on most all of that vertical. And then just about finished up the outside of these merlons as well. So I'll probably be taking that form down today. But there's a lot of rain forecast for the next several days, 5 days even. So I'll have all that rain time to do the prep work, and it's maybe going to start around noon or afternoon. So I've got maybe enough time for 1 or 2 batches today. So I'm going to try to really solidify that vertical wall and work on this 3rd merlon, pack out some tires, and also fortify the citadel because a coon killed one of my chicks last night or early this morning. And I think there's like sort of a trail or a feather trail coming to this window. I think it went through the window. So when it's rainy, one of my goals is going to be to build a window or a door for the window, so that I can close that up and shutter it, so that the courtyard can be secure from this wild area from which the predators come. So from that hole, you can see over here, three little chickie feathers. Probably died right there. Some more further over there, so it looks like it went that way towards the window in the wall, because there's not a lot of other ways to get through. So I've got to, there's Cass. Cass is trying to eat a little baby plum. Careful, don't choke on that plum there, Cass. Dawn. I still am not positive. I know for sure Gendel over here is a girl. I know Dawn here, and oh, these two are fighting over here. Or they're playing, really. That's Vangare with Barbecue. Oh, I distracted Barbecue. She's gonna get him. Oh no. She didn't take her opportunity. Give me a nice Barbecue. So, I got a little more on the 3rd merlon, and got some silly chickies. This tree's dropping some of its plums early, or maybe I knocked them off for other animals did, but it's packed full of plums. I'm still sad that I lost one of the chickies, especially like with Verona, how I hear them screaming before they're killed, and I'm like half awake and not really conscious, and then so it's kind of like in my subconscious haunting me, the death screams of my family before they get killed. This wall's gonna be great. I gotta cut that up and make some more forms out of it, but I've got some coverage on the 3rd merlon over there. This one is largely done, not all the way done, but it is totally solid. This one is gonna get its form removed today. It looks just about done on the outside, and then once I take the form off, I can work on the inside. Where's that big old bee? And so yeah, I got a lot more coverage over here on this merlon. I think this form comes off today, I'm not sure though. And then I actually got a 3rd batch on that whole wall, so that form will come off today. And I need to do something on that one, some kind of form there. I'm not sure if I'll get any more mortar done before the rains come. So, just figuring it out. I just took this tall form off. So it's got some like 2 coats on the top, and then 3 coats around the middle. And then right here is the transition period, or transition zone, kind of, where it gets less flat. So all that is super flat, and then it's like a little extended over this. Just need some mortar on the outside, a couple batches. So I just gotta bend the staples. I'm gonna try to get one more batch done today before all this rain comes. We'll see how it goes. So after 3 batches on Thursday, I made a good bit of progress packing out the tires. And rain should be coming somewhat soon, or in the next few hours, but hopefully all the mortar I did is gonna be all good. And then I got a good coat on the back side of this, so that all of that metal is covered, that the form was covering. And that whole corner is now in, and I can start to think about the crenellations and what to do about that hole there. I want to do something about filling this hole, because it's not useful to me like that. Maybe into stairs, or just fill it so it's more flat up top. I don't quite know. But that's, I think, all I'm going to get done today. I'll probably be focusing on prep, doing all this metal work for the next several days. I might be able to find a window here and there for some mortar, but it's calling for a lot of rain, which means I can only do so much of this. So prep, and I might make a window for that other window. We'll see. Got a ton of rain yesterday after a week or more of drought period, and just refilled all the water reservoirs. Then last night there was another episode of me waking up to the death screams of one of my chickies screaming for their life as they're getting killed. So once again, I dive out the window in the pitch black, 2 in the morning, everything's dark and wet, and I'm in my underwear, and I fumble my way across the trees and hitting my feet on the things as I move towards the sounds of conflict, trying to be as menacing as I possibly can. And as I get out here and yell at the thing, knowing that the chickies are under attack, I disrupt the attack. And then I'm like, well, now what do I do? So I run back inside through all of this stuff, and I get flashlight, glasses, and gun, and come in here to protect the chickies. And then I end up seeing a raccoon coming at me around the corner here, and with the .40 caliber Beretta, I point and shoot. Just like they say, when you're in a real situation, you don't aim, you point and you shoot. And I hit it at least once, and then it came around here and then around the corner and tried to get out, but at that point it was shot, it was trapped, and one more round killed the raccoon. That raccoon, and so Wisdom and Intrepid are underneath there, in that hole underneath there, sitting on eggs. So it was good that the raccoon came for the chickie up here, and I heard all the noise. No chickie died. After 2 fails, I protected the chickens, protected my family, and I charged that raccoon with the death of Verona, as well as the death of Haley. 2 attempts of mine to protect the chickens failed. The 3rd time I succeeded, and the raccoon paid with its life. I think the way that it got in was through this hole in the ceiling. After I sealed it that last hole, it was familiar with the place, familiar with the food source, though it had no way in. So it must have got in through the hole in the ceiling, and then having gotten in through the hole in the ceiling, it had no way out. So the whole citadel was basically like a trap for it. And caught red-handed, killing my family, and it paid with its life. So ultimately, I don't feel bad in the slightest. I feel happy and accomplished that I protected my family, and all the chickies are okay. And I suppose I am going to leave the raccoon out at the offering rock where I left Peach and the last of Verona's body, so that the other creatures can probably feed on the raccoon. So I would call it a success. Chickens protected. Turns out this citadel can act as a big trap. And 1 adult raccoon dead. And also, like I had learned over time, both with Verona and with the last one, when I get up and engage in the night, the tone, I have to have. I have to be like threatening, even though I'm like weaponless and just blind basically. And then to respond with the glasses, the flashlight, and the gun. These are all lessons that I learned after past failures and then enacted successfully last night. So I'm gonna now grab that raccoon and get it out of here and get on with the day. It's one heavy coon, definitely over 20 pounds, maybe even 30, I don't know, but carried it about a mile out to the offering rock where its body can be by the pond over there, where its body can be a blessing to the other creatures. And that's that. Look who it is! It's a miracle! Kick out, you pretty girl. I just went into the shipping container to put a thing in there and heard a meow in the back of it. I couldn't believe it and kind of had to dig up all this stuff to find her. She had gotten locked up in the shipping container. I can't even remember the last time I was in there. Must have been like 2 weeks ago. It was before the... It was in May for sure. I really can't remember. But it was like the end of May. It was like 2 weeks almost. No food, no water, in a boiling hot shipping container. And look at her. She just came out. She's like full of life. Scarfing down the food. She was traumatized. And took her a while to recognize me and everything. But now she's back. It's a miracle. I was praying for a miracle every day. So happy. Can I see your heart? It's Sunday evening. The last 2 days have been pretty rainy and slow. I haven't really done any mortar, but I've been able to do a little bit of metal prep work. So I'm just kind of outlining the various merlons up there and working on getting things level and putting up forms where I can, and the steel rebar where I can, extended the tunnel a little bit. So it turns out Kit Kat, she was in that shipping container closer to 3 weeks than 2. Almost 3 weeks. Well, at least 2.5 weeks. Amazing that she's in such good health, and because I just had no clue that there was even a possibility that she was in there, because it had been so long ago when I had gone in there, and then she must have just got in there when I went in there for like a little bit to get a thing, and then closed it up, and I didn't even know. And she was just in the dark in a steel box. But she is resilient and her spirit is strong, and she survived. Such a good girl. So if there's a break in the weather, I've got a lot of mortar I can do. That gets all the way down to the corner where it bends the corner there. So that's like the last merlon on that side. And then right now it's all very open-ended, and there's so many different places to do mortar. Where I was just thinking about how to finish that wall there. Some bad news. I mean, this is the greatest news ever. Finding her alive after me and Apollo had thought she was dead and were so sad and missing her. And she probably thought she was just like abandoned or something. But the slightly bad news is that the peach trees are looking really rough. They've got some kind of like leaf wilt thing going on. Like they're infected with some kind of fungus that's killing everything. So even though the peaches were looking so good, they're not looking good at all now, which is sad. But the plums still look really good. They're just packed with plums. And the apples look like they're okay. Pears may be okay, but the plums look amazing. We'll see if if they hold out. Some of these berries around here should start fruiting in the next couple of weeks, but that's all for now. Look at these girls. If they lay up here in the various laying boxes, and they have a lot of laying boxes in the other area, I'll move them. But they've realized that if they lay down here, they won't get moved. So first it was just Wisdom. She's like a week in. And then it was Intrepid. There's the second one. And now there's a third one in there. There's 3 girls in there laying on eggs. Maybe chicks coming in my ears if they all hatch a bunch of eggs. But it was funny how they're just like down in this hole. Works really well for them. How about now? So I had thought that raccoon came in through that hole, but I was wrong. And that hole is probably a little bit too small for that raccoon to even fit through. But it had forced its way through this one here. It had ripped the chicken wire off and then gotten through there, forced its way in. This tube is a good bit wider than that one in the ceiling. So I reinforced this, doubly reinforced those staples. And that one obviously it's not going to get through, and that one's all good. So chickies are all safe. Kitty's here. Raccoon is dead. We had some losses, but we're looking pretty good right now. Got a bunch of eggs. Good morning. It is Tuesday morning. I was able to get one batch done in the last 3 or 4 days, and that was yesterday afternoon. So I got a first coat on that far corner, and there's also a first coat on this Merlon above the window, as well as the first coat on that Merlon. The arms aren't up there, and there's some more in the tunnel over there. I'll show you later. And then got a little more prep done so that I figured out the end wall. The end wall here will figure out the level of this part, because this part is going to be lower than that part because the ground is lower, to be able to utilize the crenellation. So what I did here is added all the lath to connect the first piece of rebar into that corner, and then I added a second piece of rebar which is going to connect to this side of this kind of little walkway up here. And so that second piece of rebar is actually level. The lower one is just kind of going at the angle of the tires. The one above is level. So that one will be the level of the bottom of the crenellation. As that sort of crenellation pattern comes around the wall, that top rebar piece will be the level of the crenelles going all the way around there. And so I didn't really know how to transition between the two levels. So working my way over from this corner will make a big difference. So looking to get more batches on those fresh Merlons and all the places where the forms are, as well as over here. And it'll be a really busy mortar day. About to get started. So by the end of the day, Tuesday, which is the last video of this week, I didn't quite finish the Merlons to the end, but I got some good coverage on them. There's not actually a single Merlon that's completely done, but a couple of them, like that one and that one, are probably around 90% done. And I got today 2 more coats on that Merlon where the ladder is, and then cleaned up that one, and then 2 more coats on this end wall here, so that those forms will all be able to come down tomorrow, as well as that one up there, which is mortared on the top side, but which also got its, I guess it would be, there you go, 3rd and 4th coats today maybe, or something, 2nd and 3rd, 3rd and 4th, but pretty good coverage. Hey girl, so glad you're back, star of the show, such a great survivor, 2.5 to 3 weeks in a shipping container in the summer. And she looks like she's no worse for wear. Who would have believed it? I can barely believe it. She's so amazing. Here you go. Come on, I'll finish the update. So then got more coverage on all this. There's now stone connecting from the Citadel all the way over to that corner, because the last thing I accomplished I got a whole batch on the back side of this wall, so this wall can now basically start going taller because I got access to the back side. And then the rebar over here, and this whole end is mortared in and all connected. So that's it for this week. Bye from this beautiful survivor kitty. Miracle has returned.